What's more, others participated in dynamic concealment of data that was pertinent to people in general. That is something horrendous that occurred. That is political decision obstruction. Individuals tell me, indeed, would you say you are all right with that? Also, my response is I was cheerful. The youthful age of conservatives are moronic. I generally have companions where I work and I don't have companions. The work, I won't keep the work. So when I was terminated the last time from this show, individuals tell me, all things considered, would you say you are all right with that? Also, my response is I was blissful. So I will continue to watch what he needs to say. Up until this point, he says that everything is deteriorating. So that is where I'm at. In the event that he will deteriorate, I needn't bother with to be in New York City where everything is. Everyone's on top of you. At this point, the vast majority realize that Joy Behar is somebody that reliably offers her viewpoints, in any event, when she accepts something is false. In any case, it's undeniably true that one's instinct isn't exact all the time. This may be the situation in a new episode in which Joy hammered youthful conservative citizens. This business about the maturing that continues coming up and discussing the youthful age of conservatives are moronic. Presently, this activity has supposedly upset the extremely rich person Elon Musk, in all likelihood since it was coordinated towards certain names in the conservative faction that may be his companions. You have that Vivek Ramaswamy. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene. You have Gracious, stand by a second. Lauren Bobblehead. Matt Gaetz. Elon Musk allegedly accepts that Joy Behar misses the mark on right to name anybody as idiotic on her show straightforwardly. Presently, a significant piece of general society appears to have jumped into reprimanding Joy, with some contending that she merits this analysis as a way to stop such way of behaving. These individuals who obliged the revolt, who accepted that Trump won, goodness, Marjorie is out there. Gracious, Trump won by an embarrassing margin. They're liars. What's more, they are the new age with the harm previously finished. There are reports recommending that Joy Behar is currently encountering a feeling of frenzy, generally credited to Elon Musk's supposed analysis. Nonetheless, there is by all accounts substantially more involved. So how about we dig into the subtleties, folks? Generally recognized now, Joy Behar has forever been reprimanded for her impoliteness and cynicism on the view sets. Previously, nonetheless, the new episode has taken things to another level. Naming youthful electors as imbecilic doesn't line up with her average character. What's more, this takeoff from her typical way of behaving has gathered huge consideration. This business about the maturing that continues coming up and discussing the youthful age of conservatives are stupid. It appears to be that in Joy Behar's view, the fate of races doesn't seem promising for conservatives. During a new episode of The View, she contended that the development of Gen Z citizens arriving at the time of qualification is a urgent second, flagging expected hardships for the party. Purportedly, the conversation on this subject was a main issue of discussion during the show, with the hosts featuring the number of GOP competitors, intellectuals and, surprisingly, current chosen authorities appear to be attempting to interface with and appeal to more youthful citizens. Individuals who obliged the rebellion, who accepted that Trump won. Goodness, Marjorie's out there. Goodness, Trump won by a huge margin. They're liars in her help. Her co-have, Sarah Haynes and Alyssa Farah Griffin additionally agreed that conservatives are missing the mark in their endeavors to draw in, yet in addition select youthful citizens. Their arrangement highlights the party's difficulties in associating with this segment. Farah Griffin obtusely got out whatever the ongoing GOP is doing is like, we won't offer arrangements. We will prevent the presence from getting environmental change. We will oppress the LGBTQ people group, and we will simply say we couldn't finish anything on firearm brutality. So there's a colossal sum that must be finished. At the point when it was Joy Behar's chance to share her contemplations, she seemed not to have a lot of extra understanding to add to the contentions made by Sarah Haynes and Alyssa Farah Griffin. All things being equal, she basically summed up the end she had proactively drawn in view of those contentions. They've said everything, except this is the start of the finish of the conservative faction from my perspective. I don't see that they will win in any decisions any longer in this country, not public races. They're on some unacceptable side. Joy Behar conveyed that every one of the focuses had been made, however, as she would see it, this undeniable the initiation of a downfall for the conservative faction. She expressed her conviction that their possibilities of winning public races in the nation were lessening as they gave off an impression of being lining up with some unacceptable side of the range. She additionally noticed that these youthful people were brought into the world in 1997, underscoring the differentiation with the course she sees the Conservative Association to head more towards the standards of 1897. These children were brought into the world in 1997, not 1897, which is where the conservative faction is going. What's more, they're like, indeed, individuals. Except that Joy Behar has a background marked by examining conservative electors and has furnished Elon Musk with motivations to condemn her on various events. Yet again, one outstanding example was on The View when she condemned conservatives for their resistance and for depicting a negative picture of Joe Biden. This mirrors an example of her editorial. On the point. The Conservative Association is glad to allow companies never to pay one more expense until the end of their days. In a specific episode of The View, Joy Behar emphatically censured conservatives for what she saw as a critical way to deal with strategy. The conversation rotated around the then continuous deficiency of child recipe in the U.S. Behar straightforwardly scrutinized traditionalists, blaming them for being uncooperative with leftists and proposing that their essential spotlight was on attempting to dishonor President Joe Biden instead of pursuing answers for the main things. They will cut snacks for youngsters. They won't help you. Joy Behar's remarks were made with regards to a conversation on The View about the returning of America's biggest child recipe plant. Before Behar's analysis of the conservative faction, her co-have, Whoopi Goldberg, featured a particular occasion, noticing that 192 conservatives had casted a ballot against a proposition to distribute $28 million in crisis spending to address the child equation lack. Around then, while just 12 conservatives casted a ballot for the proposition. So how could you decide in favor of them? But I see that extremely close individuals are not understanding what the stakes are. Straightforwardly tending to conservatives, Goldberg said. The following time you need to discuss youthful daily routines, children lives, show some signs of life. You prevent this from occurring. So apparently, Behar concurred, saying conservatives at times vote against the well-being of their constituents and against infants. For this situation, she proceeded, all they truly care about is making Biden look terrible. That is by all accounts their MO. During the discussion, when Joy Behar referenced the moderate motto "Own the Libs," she needed to stop and give a clarification to her co-have Whoopi Goldberg. Goldberg at first misjudged and thought Behar was saying "own the lips." After the explanation that libs alluded to nonconformists, Behar continued to pass her point on to Goldberg, saying it resembles a pernicious position.